sir. You're about to see something really special.
Really thought this part of my life was behind me. Frenzy disappeared with the drinking 3 years ago. Why now? This makes no sense, and I'm right on the verge of freaking out.
Back from your life.
These people can be animals.
What you burn.
Thingy's out.
Some bitter things you should never.
Good cheese.
Learn. Wallow through the days.
Remember, cosplay's not consent.
So here's to me. Congratulations, me. Yay, me.
This would all be so much easier if I was hammered. Hammered.
Won't be there anymore.
Right.
You can take away the anger, but you leave behind the pain. It's your soul I will.
New ventures are always scary.
Till I'm melting
Blah, blah, blah. Something positive and uplifting.
tomorrow, but the hurt will still remain. In your soul I'll live forever. Till I'm melting in.
Don't miss our new film, The Love Song of William H. Shaw, coming soon to a streaming service near you. Hey everyone, this is Cliff from Talking Pondo. Just wanted to give you a quick heads up about spoilers on the show. We do talk about the films in a certain amount of detail, so you may want to watch the film first and then come back if you're not a fan of spoilers. Also, every now and then there's a little bit of adult language, so we wanted to give you fair warning on that. We hope you enjoy the episode, and we really appreciate you listening. Welcome to Season 2 of Making Pondo and Talking Pondo. Talking Pondo is a podcast where Cliff and Marty give each other a film to watch and talk about them in detail. Some episodes will include a special guest. Making Pondo is a podcast where Cliff and Marty talk to people they have worked with and discuss their experiences on set. All right, Marty, we're back.
We're back. Well, we're back, and Merry Christmas.
Back again for another Talking Pondo.
And I say Merry Christmas because that's the focus of this week's films. This could be our holiday episode. But... So let's see here. Slightly out of practice, bear with us. So that means this is
Episode 10.
Episode 11. Yeah.
11, yeah.
Yeah, but the overall is 47. Okay. So so this is our holiday themed episode, and we have two holiday themed movies for you. Not because it's not like we don't watch a Christmas movie every 5 weeks or so around here. Going back to our first episode, Night of the Comet, which in and of itself is a Christmas film, so it only made sense for us to actually do a themed week on Christmas. And so Cliff finally gets to show me Fatman. It took a long time. I remember hearing about that one all the way back with Violent Night. And then I dug into the 80s classics list, that fabled list, if you've listened to the show for a while, and pulled out Scrooged from 1988.
Starring Mr. Bill Murray.
And so those were our picks. And, there you go. So that's what we're talking about this week for the holiday season here. So which one should we talk about first?
I don't know. I mean, I think we could probably do... You want to do Scrooge first?
Okay, we'll do Scrooged first.
Yeah, let's do Scrooge first.
Scrooged from 1988. This is an interesting one for me personally, because now we're doing the thing where we're doing the research on the movie that we pick. So now I have some more context and things to tell with the stories and whatnot. But Scrooged is one of the last movies that was shot before I met Cliff. They shot this in late 87 to the end of that year, and then to the early 88, I think. And then it came out in November of 88. So this is one of the first movies that came out, maybe I'd known you maybe 2 months. Yeah. It reminded me of our episode of The Abyss, because when Scrooged came out, they're sitting in that water tank filming The Abyss. You know, it's just weird to put that overall context in it. And I remember when Scrooged came out, I really did want to go see it. I was seeing movies all the time, every weekend. And that was one that I just didn't get to because I was going to everything else. I think my mom saw it because, you know.
Did you say you really didn't want to go
I
see it, or you
I
did?
did.
You did.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
yeah,
I see
okay.
the trailer and I'm like, oh,
Well, it's Bill Murray, right?
Bill Murray. I
Let's
want to
do
go
this.
see this, you know.
Yeah.
But you can't cram in everything. But you did have more of a chance back then because the movie would be in the theater for the entire holiday season. And, you know, when your parents would go see one movie and you'd go see another, right?
Yep.
So one week, my mom went and saw Scrooged. At least I think that's what happened.
Maybe we should explain that real quick. People in the 80s and in the 70s, your parents didn't want to watch the crappy movie that you wanted to watch. The last, not that the last unicorn is crappy, but whatever cartoon movie that you wanted to see or blah blah blah. So they would just buy you a ticket, give you concession stand money, and send you to your theater, and they would go watch something else. And a lot of times, what would happen is your movie, being a kids movie, is 90 minutes. Their movie, being an adult movie, is 145, 2 hours. So you're stuck in the lobby waiting, wondering if your parents were ever going to show up again. Anyways, so I interrupted you, but I think people should understand that's literally parents back in the day. They just used to separate movies and go, we're going to see this one. You go sit here.
Mm-hmm. And by 1988, that was happening maybe more often because I was picking a horror movie or something weird, and you know, and she would want to see something that I probably didn't have any interest in, and that was one of those weeks. I think why I remember it is, oh, she's seen the movie that I wanted to see, but I want to see this other movie more, and I couldn't even tell you what that other movie was. I think this might have been at the Foothills. I remember the theater. And so after it was over, she was like, oh, it was all right, you know. And then cut to about a year later, I finally see it on video, or maybe it was on cable. Probably saw it on cable. And it was just kind of like, oh, all right, you know. It was okay. It didn't like blow me away or anything. I didn't feel bad that I didn't go see it in the theater, you know. It's kind of like it's a proto UHF in a way, you know, like the Weird Al movie UHF, where they're making all their fake shows at the TV station, because this one starts and they have all their weird little shows.
Yeah, I mean, it does have these weird little it's got the weird little bit for the screw, you know, like you have to be there or the world's going to explode this, you know, Sunday night at the you know, catch Dickinson's Charles Dickens classic, A Christmas Carol, you know.
And so that reminds me of the Weird Al movie, but before it, you know, it kind of had those little hints in there.
I never got that vibe at all from it. That's
so before I go off any further, what is Scrooged?
What is it?
Yeah, what's that description that IMDb?
It's a movie, man. Hang on. I'll tell you this.
It's a movie. It was a series.
All right, so Scrooge, 1988. Bill Murray, Karen Allen. A selfish, cynical television executive is haunted by three spirits bearing lessons on Christmas Eve. It's a spin on A Christmas Carol.
Oh, okay. It's A Christmas Carol. That's right.
Yeah. Francis Xavier Cross is a cynical, mean-spirited television executive. He treats his loyal assistant with contempt. He just sacked a member of staff on Christmas Eve for simply disagreeing with him. And he's alienated himself from his brother, who still insists on inviting Frank to Christmas dinner, despite him refusing to go every year.
So who is Bob Cratchit?
However, Frank is forced to learn the true meaning of Christmas when he's visited by three ghosts. Bob Cratchit.
Which character represents Cratchit? It's not Bobcat, is it? It's more of his assistant, because his assistant basically has the Tiny Tim as her kid, right?
I think Alfre Woodard is Bob Cratchit.
Yeah,
with her kid that can't speak and all that, and her family. Yeah.
Does Scrooge fire somebody on Christmas, or is that a new?
Yeah, he fires Bobcat Goldthwait on Christmas.
Okay.
Because Bobcat's like, sir, I think maybe you should try reaching out and being good. And he's like, get the hell out of here.
The original Christmas Carol story, does Scrooge fire somebody?
Oh, I'm honestly
not.
not.
Firing of Bobcat a new twist on the.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I'm honestly not sure sure, but I do think maybe Cratchit gets fired.
Yeah, I felt like they were splitting that off a little bit. Which you've done how many takes on the Christmas Carol? You got to mix it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But it
Mm-hmm.
seemed like, oh yeah, like they split Bob Cratchit into two different people in a way.
Yeah,
Oh.
he got fired from his low-paying job on Christmas Eve.
So going back to when this was shot, here's a weird piece of trivia that only people our age are going to know or care about, or know what I'm talking about, I should say. This is the last appearance of the Solid Gold Dancers.
It is. It is.
Because their show was still on the air when this was being filmed, and they're in the movie. And then by the time the movie came out, that was gone. So Solid Gold was the show that was on forever in the 80s.
Yeah, it's on YouTube if you guys are interested in it. It's a lot of fun. It started in 79 or 80, and it ran till 88 or 89.
Yeah,
and
right before this movie came out.
Yeah, and it was basically just an excuse to count down the top 10 hits of the week, and also feature and now the top country artist, and then here's a comedian, and here's the Solid Gold Dancers dancing to every song. It was awesome. We loved it. But then we didn't have a lot to watch,
And so
7 channels.
it's true. And so the movie Scrooged solidifies the Solid Gold Dancers in film. Also, I have a bunch of random points before getting into the story of the movie itself. This also includes a rare non-555 number. There's a scene where Bill Murray says his phone number, and he doesn't say 555. That's pretty crazy. You don't get that very often. So that was in a movie that's constantly like, what is real and what's not? what is meta? Meta doesn't exist yet, so we're basically just stacking stories on top of each other. We don't use 555.
Real quick, circling back to your Bob Cratchit question, I think it may be Alfre and Bobcat Goldthwait both, because Bobcat's the one that gets fired on Christmas Eve, which Cratchit does, but she's the one with the kid, with the Tiny Tim type kid.
And I thought that was Cratchit's kid.
So I think they've split Cratchit into two.
That's what it seems like, yeah.
Things there. Anyway, sorry, I just wanted to circle back because it just hit me. I was like, oh,
right. I would say blink and you'll miss John Glover, but he is in it a little bit longer. And I'm just thinking, oh yeah, we just saw him at the con.
Yeah, John Glover's great in this.
I'll always remember him walking past when the paramedics were dealing with the drunk dude, and he had this look on his face like, what's going on? And it's like, that's John Glover of Scrooged fame.
Yeah.
Yeah, very early appearance by him. So that's always kind of a trip.
That's a fun one. He plays a great kind of Sunbell.
My favorite line of dialogue in the movie Scrooged is, I've never liked a girl enough to give her 12 sharp knives before. That was good. Let's see, what else do I have here? Okay, let me just jump into this. I'm 30 minutes into the movie. What's the story? What's the tone? The logic? I try to tell myself it's like, like an earnest movie. It's kind of screwball. People can get hit in the head with a cannonball and you laugh. But it's weird, right? Because then I start pulling the string too hard on it. And it's like, if Bill Murray is such a bastard, why is he putting on a production of A Christmas Carol?
Here, we're heard.
What channel is this? This isn't one of the major networks.
No, it is. It's NBC. That's the farce of it, right? And that's to me. That's
so that's supposed to be because I didn't get that it's
that's how the movie is subtly telling you that this is going to be a ridiculous tale.
It felt like it was a UHF
because
or something.
When fucking Bill Murray goes, roll the new spot, and it's that whole nuclear bomb going off and women screaming and and there's like a woman had a heart attack when she saw that and died,
totally.
And you realize it's completely over the top. The whole movie's going to be that way. Like one of my favorite lines is where he's talking to one of the guys on set. He's one of the mouse handlers, and he goes, "I just can't get the glue. Won't work to get the little antlers to stay on." And he goes, "Well, have you tried staples?"
Mm-hmm.
And Karen Allen's like, "Don't you dare!" And he goes, "I would never do that." It was nice to see Karen Allen in a movie. She so rarely pops up in things.
Yeah,
And
but
I,
she
I,
only
I like
exists
her
in the
quite a
movie
bit.
to prop up the assholes. No matter how shitty he is, she keeps going back to him. It's
Yeah.
like she doesn't have her own.
Well, she's
story.
a social worker, so
Yeah.
she's like St. Jude, patron of lost causes, right? But it's just nice to see her in something else. She's the actress that, in my opinion, created the greatest like strong female hero
Mm-hmm.
in Raiders you're ever gonna get. Drink you under the table, beat your ass. She's great. I love her.
And then does almost the opposite in this movie. So,
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
this
Acting,
movie,
brilliant.
this movie had a lot of production problems. This was notoriously a difficult movie to make. The
Really?
director, the director and Bill Murray did not see eye to eye. That's why the tone is
Richard Donner, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
one minute it's going one way, 1 minute it's going the other, because the two of them are fighting with each other. The original screenwriters disowned the movie because they said only like 20% of their original intent was there. And I feel, if I had to guess, I'd say that's all that personal stuff, like the deep, the really good parts of the movie. And then you have all this other, like, it's such a weird fucking movie, right? Because it's a Christmas Carol putting on a Christmas Carol while a Christmas Carol is happening. And we didn't have meta yet, so it all just kind of lays on top of each other. It doesn't know what to do with it yet.
It's layered, yeah. It's layered in there. I hear you.
So fucking strange.
I feel like it's successful for one reason more than any other, which is it's a darkly sarcastic movie, and at every turn, it is darkly sarcastic and funny. There are points where it tries to kind of redeem itself with, like, at the end where he finds the dude frozen with the watch and all that type of thing. Where
it's the two movies fighting with each other.
But for me, the movie really works in this whole idea of a really dark comedy with a real asshole who's going through the whole Charles Dickens Christmas Carol, plot. Because I mean, again, Ghost of Christmas Past,
But it's real.
Present.
It's in the cab with the Ghost of Christmas Past. So
and Buster Poindexter spotting, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
so apparently one of the New York Dolls saw this movie. I think it was their bass player, if I'm correct. I should have taken some notes maybe, but I only wanted to briefly talk about this. He was watching the movie Scrooged on cable, flipping through the channels one day, and got so enraged by David Johansen's performance in the movie that he battered his girlfriend, I think at the time, and then jumped out the 3-story window to try to kill himself. And he didn't. And then afterwards, he survived, cleaned himself up from whatever he was on, I think, and then found God and all that from there, which is true. That's really what happened, I think. But the movie Scrooged caused somebody to jump out a window and try to kill themselves.
It reminds me. Wow. It
This
reminds
movie
me
has
of
a dark cloud around it.
It reminds me of the Dennis Leary story, or a joke where he goes, "See all these slashes on my arms, man? Huh? You see those? I heard the fucking Bee Gees were getting back together."
Mm-hmm.
I take music very fucking seriously.
Yeah. And Buster Poindexter's role was originally intended to be,
hot. Oh, Sam Kinison.
Yeah, Sam Kinison. Yeah, but
that makes sense.
Was too erratic. Oh, you throw him in there on top of it.
That would have been interesting. That would have been interesting.
As if the set wasn't erratic enough. So it was just a lot of fighting apparently on set, because Bill Murray is the type of actor who reads the script, throws it away, and then improvs everything the way he feels set to do it. I don't think Richard Donner was vibing with that, and so
shocking.
That's why you have the very bizarre conclusion to Scrooged with that unhinged rant which some say is Bill Murray losing his mind on camera. His whole improvised ending of the movie, the painful improvised ending of the movie, after everybody suddenly forgives this guy who's been a total shithead who's suddenly freaked out in the elevator, and now we're going to believe him?
The one where he's singing fa la 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 la.
Yeah. Apparently he made all that up. He made it all up, and people were like, "What the fuck did he just do?" So, it's a very weird movie. It's a very weird movie.
So for me, this is a Christmas movie, and so right away I can't take any Christmas movie fucking seriously. And when I say Christmas movie, I mean a movie about Christmas, not a movie where Christmas happens to happen in, like Die Hard. Die Hard is,
Yeah, we chose not to.
yeah,
And yet,
I agree that Die Hard's a Christmas movie, but it's not about Christmas.
and speaking of Die Hard, which only came out a few months earlier, this movie's got way more disturbing gun violence in it. Oh, I'm to forgive my boss while Bobcat Goldthwait's holding a gun to my fucking head in the control room. What's going on?
That's good stuff. Oh, and hey, our first Bobcat Goldthwait sighting on the show, so that's cool. I like a lot of the production design of the movie. I love when he gets in the elevator with he gets in the elevator with the big monster, and he opens it up, and it's just all this, things, the
It's
lost souls screaming and shit. It's great.
It's on the 80s classics list for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And Bill Murray had come out of retirement after 5 years to do this movie, and that's why he's a little weird in it for me, I think.
I think for me it really succeeds because there isn't another Christmas movie like it.
Well, that's
now,
true.
There are now starting to be Christmas movies like it, but this sort of sarcastic, it's almost like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, which is just like this kind of almost like a fuck Thanksgiving movie, like due to all the travel and all the shit trying to get to Thanksgiving. And this kind of seems to be the same thing. This, and yes, at the end he realizes the joy of Christmas. It's almost like Sullivan's Travels, where he quickly at the very end realizes that comedy is what the common man needs. All you need is love.
It's like, who shoots a live version on Christmas Carol on Christmas Eve?
Yeah,
don't think about it too hard, because it really doesn't make any sense.
It's insane.
But like I was mentioning earlier, it doesn't matter how bad a horror movie or a holiday movie is. It's gonna have an audience because people want new ones.
True.
And then these movies have feelings attached to them. I don't have feelings attached to Scrooged. I watched it once back in the day and maybe a few other times since. And this is the first time I sat down and really paid attention to it. And now that I have to do research on the movies, which was a really good idea, I'm like, this movie's fun. Look. I said a lot of things about Zorro the Gay Blade, but Zorro the Gay Blade has this, it's coherent, and it knew what it was trying to do. This movie's all over the place, and everything that you just said right now makes me go, is that what I sound like when I'm talking about Knight Rider? It might be. I guess
a little bit.
Movies,
a little bit.
Hit people in different ways.
This has by far been my favorite episode ever so far. This is fucking great.
So I mean,
that's so funny.
As with every movie that we have, watch it. Because this one's like a giant question mark. I don't know what this is.
This is Bill Murray put into a large rubber room and set loose for 2 hours with a bunch of toys and things in there, and you get to watch him create. The film was shot by the director of photography was Michael Chapman. Best known for shooting things like Taxi Driver, Raging Fucking Bull, The Fugitive.
That makes no wonder
it was so weird. It was a very interesting choice. Like, dude, I mean, he's a great cinematographer, but I don't really think you need a great cinematographer for Scrooge, do you? I mean, I don't know, maybe I guess, but
it's just
it was an interesting. It was
How do you fuck up A Christmas Carol? Well, this is as close of a version.
But again, that's kind of the movie's intent. That's kind of the movie's point, is to take A Christmas Carol and kind of
Well, I think
do
that's
a fucked up version of it, right?
well, yeah, and then I think the intentional fallacy of what escaped in the end was probably something that nobody was happy with. But it's
I mean, I can see your argument that yeah, it missed the mark, it missed what it was shooting for sure. Yeah, I hear you on that.
and yet it still ended up
Um,
being a perennial holiday favorite. People
it
watch
really is
here
because honestly, it's fucking funny in points.
because you watch every
When Carol
holiday
Kane
movie.
swings in and punches him in the mouth, it's hysterical. There's some good stuff in there.
And so it was really happening because how did he know what game they were playing? How did she get in the cab with the ghost of past? But at the same time, it shows you, well, that's his hallucinations and it's happening,
You
but
need to
he's not seeing the guy on fire, right?
you need to suspend your disbelief, Marty. It's a Christmas carol. It's a fairy tale.
To suspend more than my disbelief, I think.
Suspend my goddamn intelligence.
No, I don't feel about the movies. This one's just weird.
Um,
It's very
so
1988. Yeah.
so this is Nissa's favorite movie
Oh
of
my
all time.
lord.
Not her favorite of all time. Her favorite Christmas. I'm sorry, her favorite Christmas movie of all time.
Okay. Okay.
We watch it every year. For me, it's always an easy watch compared to a lot of the other Christmas movies that I have to sit through
Oh, I could
or
see
around.
that. Yeah, because
It's
it's still
such an
better than
easier. It's a quick hour 40. It ain't. I'm not having to watch fucking Fred Claus. God damn it. Or the Santa Claus with Tim Allen. Jesus, I would rather watch Screwed on loop for a day than watch either of those fucking movies. So yeah,
Christmas.
to me, it's chocolate coating makes it go down easier, like we talked about, right? Like it's just for a Christmas movie, it's really packaged in a way that's smart and funny and sort of acidic.
It's like Christmas with the Cranks or other
Mhm.
horrible movies.
Fuck, I would never want to watch that fucking thing. No.
When you put it alongside those, yes, which is why I also think why it's so beloved is because when are you watching Scrooged in the middle of August?
Yeah, you're never going to.
And
Yeah.
so I did.
Oh,
I
did you?
pulled
Yeah.
it out
Yeah.
of out of its season,
Yeah,
and I
that's
watched
true.
it as just a movie.
That's
And
true.
oh my god!
Yeah, a lot.
But if you're
different, right?
watching it amongst all the others, you're going,
suddenly
oh,
it's
good,
a fucking
thank
suddenly
you.
it's a
Suddenly.
fucking gem, right? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's like it's like being forced to go into a kids movie theater or a kids library, and you find a book that you're like, oh, well, this is an adult book. Oh, here, great, I'll read this. I don't have to mess with the rest of this shit. Yeah. So, but I do agree with you. It's flawed. I always, for some reason, liked Buster Poindexter in this.
He's good in it. Yeah.
He's good in it, but that hot, hot, hot song needs to die. And again, Karen Allen.
Yeah.
Can't- I guess
Underutilized and doesn't
no.
show up for like a half hour.
I know, but I still love her. She's still great.
But I think that's the script being gutted and changed and moved around. Like,
And who was the older dude that was the head of was that Robert Mitchum or Robert?
oh yeah, that was a trip to see him in it.
Yeah, it was a trip to see him too. Yeah.
And all the Murray siblings are in it too. All of his brothers.
Yes, Brian Doyle, Dana. Was the other one?
There's 3 of them, including Bill. No, there'd be
Bill.
4 of them, including Bill. Yeah.
There's 4. Yeah, Bill, Brian Doyle, Chad.
Right? It's hard to remember all the names. One of them was in that Moving Violations movie in the 80s, right?
That's Chad. I
And that was the one who was playing his actual brother in the movie who he was
Yes.
supposed to go hang out with. And
So that's okay. So that's who's the guy that was with the VCR? That's not Chad. That's the one I can't name.
yeah,
That's the one I
yeah.
can't figure out his name.
yeah, I mean, I could look it up, but yeah.
Well, I'm going to do it right now.
And then
This is gonna drive me crazy.
his wife or girlfriend is Wendy Malick, right? Whose character's name was Wendy, which strangely enough, but she's been in a bunch of stuff too. But this has got to be one of her early things. Or I was like, I recognize that actor. Now that you mention it,
John Murray. No?
might be John, yeah. But we're watching for the solid gold dancers because they're immortalized in time on film. Strange.
Solid gold. Yeah, that's where Rex Harrison went to have a career for a while. Good for him. He needed it. He's a good dude. All right, so anything else on Scrooged?
Well, you made it make a little more sense when you said it's supposed to be like a send up of NBC, because that wasn't clear enough to me in the movie. And so I'm thinking, is this some kind of glorified UHF station? Because that makes
No, it's
sense.
a send up of like a big like a big CBS or a big
Uh,
ABC, NBC type
See, as
of
it,
affiliate network, or not affiliate but big broadcast network.
as it moves further and further away from the context of the 80s, it seems like maybe that gets lost in the shuffle there.
Yeah,
Maybe it's not that important. I don't know.
it is a weird movie for sure. It makes a few assumptions and it moves kind of strange. I still think it's funny. Poor Bobcat Goldthwait, you feel real bad for him. Of course, until he gets a shotgun and loses his mind. Yeah, I don't know. I enjoyed it.
What was up with the censor who's constantly getting beat around and then she becomes like a sex maniac at the end? Wow, these movies are weird, aren't they?
Well, you know, this is definitely a trope of 80s movies where they would always have a weird character that had a weird sort of arc in the background, right? From it reminds me of Joan Cusack's character in 16 Candles. The neck brace and the thing, and then suddenly she's got long duck dong on a date and all this stuff, and she's, you know, looks different. This weird character, but she doesn't ever have any lines. It's just weird character development, you know. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, when you compare it to all those really bad Christmas movies I don't want to watch, it's a bona fide classic, but just on its own.
I mean, yeah, and I think that's why, again, it's the same reason that you watch, you know, that Christmas horror movie. I'm blanking on it right now. But there are very few really great Christmas movies out there. You know, you got Christmas Vacation. If you're an Elf fan, you got Elf.
Oh,
I think A Christmas Story has
I'd
been
much
fucking.
rather watch Scrooged.
I hear you.
than
You
Elf.
got Violent Night. You know, I think A Christmas Story is played to death.
Yeah, they made us watch it too much, TBS.
You've got Home Alone.
They made us.
But who the fuck wants to watch It's a Wonderful Life? You know, who wants to watch The Grinch
Well,
again? You know, who wants to
there are
watch
people.
I mean, White Christmas? I don't
Maybe I should watch White Christmas. I'm not as familiar, you know.
Yes.
But
I want to watch Candy Cane Lane and Daddy's Home 2 and all these no.
that's
Give
the
me
Hallmark.
Scrooge. Come on, let's go.
That's like Asylum for Hallmark for Christmas movies.
3 stars for me.
3.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's solid. It's not a great movie, but it's not a middle of the road movie. It's better than that. There are some really good moments in it, and it's like, again, for Christmas, I'd rather watch that one than a lot of the other grab.
Yeah, I agree with you on all that, but I give it a 1.
Holy shit, really?
Oh, it's like I said, I was talking shit about Zorro. I need to really check myself before I realize that I gave myself the Zorro of the season so far. So, but it's
Holy crap.
Zorro better because it's just such a mess.
Okay.
Such a mess. And then that painful when he just like, I'm watching Bill Murray lose his goddamn mind at the speech at the end. They went from hating him, and now he's making out with one of the singers. What's going on?
Fa la 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 la.
Now this side of the theater. Look, we all would have gone and seen The River's Edge if we knew it was going to affect you that much. So, anyways,
well, wasn't there a trope or a trend of that? I seem to remember other movies doing that whole thing where they're like begging for people to change and be better, and we can all fix it together, you know, whether it was on TV or I seem to remember that trope, not just in Scrooged, you know. because that's at the end. That's what he's doing, and we can
Mhm.
fix it, and we can do this, and we're gonna be great, And it's I've seen that before somewhere. I can't
Yeah,
remember where.
yeah,
Anyway,
and
1 and a 3. Okay,
yeah.
so
I
that
mean,
brings us to Fat Man.
like you said, there's worse movies, but it's weird taking it out of the Christmas season and then being
Sure.
like, watch this Christmas movie now ahead of time, and it's like, oh, I picked it up in a completely different, weird way. So yes, Fat Man.
Fat Man, starring Mel Gibson,
Mm-hmm.
and as the Fat Man himself,
Right.
along with Walter Goggins and his teeth, Marion Jean Baptiste, and then the young gentleman's name, the young kid, is Chance Hertzfeld. Shot in 2020 or released in 2020, and let's see here.
Based on the Silverchair song about.
Yep,
he
you're
says,
going away too,
boy."
fat boy. A rowdy, unorthodox Santa Claus is fighting to save his declining business. Meanwhile, Billy, a neglected and precocious 12-year-old, hires a hitman to kill Santa after receiving a lump of coal in his stocking.
Yeah. Well, we've never seen this movie before. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
This is different.
All right, so to save his declining business, Kris Kringle, also known as Santa Claus, is forced to go into a partnership with the U.S. military. Making matters worse, Kris gets locked into a deadly battle of wits against a highly skilled assassin who was hired by a precocious 12-year-old after receiving a lump of coal in his stocking. And that's basically the plot of the movie.
Yeah. The one that I had in my mind was Violent Night, right? Because they're similar, but they're different. It's different takes on Santa Claus. And this one right away is much better made film overall than Violent Night. Violent Night's good. It's still a fun movie, but you could tell that one's more of like a lower budget B movie. This one reminded me more of Predestination, where, and there see you talking about that one again because it never goes away. Movies made in other countries that are so slick that you think for a half a second that they're American productions, and they were doing a pretty good job of that. Yeah,
this was shot in Ottawa, Canada.
Yes, it was.
Apparently, they had to shoot the big fight sequence at the end over 4 days, and at one point it was like minus 36 degrees.
Wow,
very cold out there to shoot this freaking movie.
Now I'm gonna point something out here that is indicative of movies being shot with set decorators and production designers that don't completely know their shit. And you know what? Not everybody does, but it's a dead giveaway. The American flag was wrong. There
really?
are in Alaska. It's supposed to be Alaska, but it's shot in Canada. The flag's backwards. The stars are always supposed to be in the upper left-hand corner. Otherwise, it means duress. And the flag is hung the other way around. And I went, wait a minute, pause the movie. Where was this shot? Looked it up, Canada. I'm like, yep. I bet the production designer just threw the flag up there and didn't know, right? Because
was the shot maybe reversed for some reason?
No. Because matter of fact, there's a mirror of it as well on the bar showing it going the right way. I listened to a podcast that has a production designer on it, and he went off once about, I see movies, and if they mess up the flag, I always notice it because it's always supposed to be, the stars are always supposed to be in the upper left-hand corner. And so it didn't ruin the movie for me or anything, but I went, oh, you were close, but you didn't get the flag right. So I noticed that,
it's funny that you mentioned the costume and the production designers, because they both got title cards, which was surprising.
I mean, they do a good job, but
I don't normally see a costume designer get a title card, but their own title card.
Yeah.
So right away, of course, we hate this little fucking kid. He's a worm.
All right.
Mrs. Claus is black. It's a diversity hire. What the hell is going on here? Santa's fucking broke. I guess he's doing too much cocaine, eating too much sugar.
Well, you know why he's broke. It's because the kids are all assholes now, and
I know.
they're only
I know.
delivering half the toys. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and apparently, so what you find out is that he has a deal with the U.S. government, and the government subsidizes him so he and his elves can build toys out near the North Pole, in the highest place in Alaska that's close to the North Pole, and the contract is based upon how much output they do. Right. Well, problem is there aren't a lot of good kids anymore. They're shitty, so there aren't a lot of we're not making as many toys, which means you're not getting paid as much, and so the military offers Santa Claus, well, just have your elves make control panels for jet fighters. And the military shows up at his place and they install all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. Well, in the meantime, shitty kid who's rich is going to school, lives with his grandma. He loses at the science fair. He's got all these ribbons, but he gets a second place at the science fair. So he hires this guy Walt Goggins to basically kidnap the girl who won, and he threatens to electric shock therapy her with like a 12-volt car battery if she doesn't admit that she cheated, so that he can win, which is what happens. And then he hires Walt Goggins to go and find Santa Claus for some fucking reason. Like,
he gets a lump of coal in his stocking.
That's right. Oh, that's right. He gets a lump of coal in his stocking for Christmas. That's right. And I will say this: I found the idea that Walt Goggins is going around buying memories. How much for the bat?
Yeah.
How much for the plane? A very interesting. And did you notice that his car was a police interceptor? The little Hot Wheel was a police car, which is a police interceptor, and the black car he was driving is that same car, just without the police markings.
See, they got that right.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So Walt goes off to try and find Santa Claus. The elves are trying to make panels.
He's all obsessed with like studying Santa Claus. It's one of the most absurd things I've ever seen in a movie. He's studying these weird old cartoons like he's really going to get something out of it. And the movie's treating it completely serious. We've talked about before, like if the person doesn't buy into some of these over-the-top movies, it doesn't work. And we get a lot of everybody going for it in this one. You go, I wouldn't have expected to see Mel Gibson in movies like this if you would have said 40 years ago, but
no,
he's still doing a good job in it.
Yeah, no, he's fantastic in this. I mean, it's like Russell in Pope's Exorcist. He leaned into that shit. He didn't treat it like it was beneath him. He did the role. It was great. I have no idea why a bitter or a violent Santa appeals to me so much, but it does. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because it's such an opposite of what the normal Santa is, but and I also like that the true bad guy, Walt Goggins is a bad guy, but the true bad guy is a 12-year-old, which I also kind of like.
Oh, yeah. I mean, where do I get one of those dash-mounted hamster wheels anyways,
No shit, right?
You told me no more Van Patten movies, and then you give me the movie with the dash-mounted hamster wheel straight out of Master Ninja. Yeah, that cracked me up.
You're just having the master flashbacks.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, he's a hitman, but he cares about his hamster. You're not a hamster guy. Yes, he is.
You look like a snake guy. At one point, Santa calls Elon trying to get some work from Elon.
Oh, yeah.
And I realized that Elon is just a fucking meme at this point. It's hilarious.
Because this was years ago, back when,
Yep. What I realized is the plot is predicated on a spoiled rich kid not getting what he wants from Santa. And I feel like this was an animated special at some point, and they've just taken it and given everybody guns and anger. Like, I feel like there was a Christmas special that we watched in the 70s or the 80s, which was about a kid being disgruntled that he didn't get his thing and went to go after Santa or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be like not Twilight Zone, but Amazing Stories or
Mhm.
a show like that. At some point, somebody says it takes as long as it takes.
Dude, I have that same fucking note.
Yeah.
How long is this going to take? It takes as long as it takes. I was just like, is Tanya in this movie?
And he's evaluating that baseball bat, right? Wasn't that during that scene?
Yeah, no, I think it was. Might have been. I want to say it was. It was either that or one of the elves doing something. I don't know.
Yeah, like the elves with the what happened to 1 through 6? We don't reassign numbers.
We don't reassign numbers.
That'd be
Yeah.
disrespectful.
That is an
That's a
excellent
great
system.
unit. And then,
Who knew that the military and the elves would come to kind of have a mutual
Right.
respect for each other? That's a kind of a fun thing in there.
and the military all end up getting killed, but the elves are fine. And much like the Violent Night, you just can't kill Santa. The
Mhm.
show's full of spoilers, so it's too late now because I already said it. But
The soundtrack is weird and different. It's not a normal action soundtrack, nor is it a Christmas movie soundtrack. It's like a Christmas Western. It's got Western themed sounds to it, but it's got Christmas tones and I guess instruments playing it is the only way I can describe it. I like it. It's just fucking weird. Really weird.
about a half hour in, I was like, what is the story? Just like Scrooged. But the difference here was I went, this is building. Let it go. And then it does start to show you what all the pieces go to eventually. So
I love the fact that people take pot shots at Santa when he sneaks around trying to deliver presents, and sometimes he gets shot. I thought that was pretty fucking hilarious. Because that makes complete sense. He's probably somewhere in the South.
So what's the
in
closest
Midwest.
place to the North Pole? Eureka? Okay. Do you have a listing for a Chris Kringle? Hello?
Hello. I found the driving with Goggins a little long. It was visually kind of interesting at times, but it slowed the pace of the film.
Yeah, the movie's a little too long.
Yeah, you need to have him driving and see where he's going and all that, but there was a lot of it.
Yeah.
A little bit too much, in my opinion. I did love that line he said to the lady at the pet store. You're like my mother. What did he say? You remind me of my mother. You don't fucking listen, and I don't give a shit what you have to say, or something like that. Jesus. And then at one point, the kid decides he wants Santa's head.
Oh yeah, it's too difficult to
fucking
bring
weird.
the head back, kid. I got to go through all this, and
You want me to put a head in a box and drive through 2 security checks? No, I'm not doing it.
And what we like to point out always is the devices filmmakers use to keep the budgets low. A lot of the scenes are, just Goggins by himself, or just 1 or 2 actors, or just the kid, and so it's keeping it more economical, and possibly through pandemic filming. If this was being shot in 2020, I don't really know that much about what they had to deal with.
I mean, it's totally possible. I mean, its gross was nothing. It grossed $278,000 at the box office and 1.6 worldwide. I can't find a budget on it.
If I had to guess, I'd say it's probably close to the 2 million, if not a little bit over the 2 million, because these type of movies.
I want to say like 5.
From what I gather, it's you pay Mel Gibson his $1 million, he'll show up and make the movie type movies, like how Bruce Willis was doing, and a few other actors, where you're just constantly seeing these
20 million.
programmers, yeah.
20 million is what they spent.
20 million. Oh, so they lost a.
Well, I think once it hit streaming cable, they probably made a little bit of money back. I don't know if they, but yeah,
not that much, right?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, with how many theaters did that hit with only $278,000? I mean, how many damn theaters did you put that film on?
2020, there wasn't very many theaters open.
It's also distributed by Saban Films, the guys
That's
who did
true too.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Power Rangers and all that stuff.
And Jane Silent Bob reboot.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
So they've been trying to be like an almost a A24 in a way, branching out from just being Power Rangers. At one point, we sent a screener to Saban like 10 years ago, if you remember.
Oh,
they were
that's
one of the
right, we
ones that
did.
answered our query letter to make it a little making Pondo for a minute.
They really build up to the big fight. I agree with you on that. It's like an hour into the movie before shit really starts to pop off. And then, and also, I like this movie because it's an hour and 39 minutes long, which I think is a good length for it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to drag it out. You don't need to have a bunch of extra subplots and craziness.
Oh, it certainly should not be longer.
Yeah, get in, get out. Mr. and Mrs. Claus post coitus is an image I could have lived without for the rest of my life. I didn't need to see that on screen.
AARP applauded it.
Yeah, I guess.
Representation.
All over a fucking Hot Wheel car. Yeah.
You think you're the first?
Jonathan
like
Miller, you twisted
right?
child.
The hitman driving forever and in the showdown. It's those tropes, you know.
I love that Santa loads up with a Walker pistol, which is 150 years old, and a brand new like 9mm. So he's got this ancient gun and a new gun in one in each hand. To me, the movie is both petty and grand all at the same time. It's really fucking silly and kind of dumb, but also very over the top and kind of fun and big. Very John Woo at the woodpile. When they're shooting each other at the very end and they have their backs to the backs with the John Woo stuff at the woodpile. And
yeah, if Marijuanos had been about Santa Claus, we would have had a cult hit on our hands. You see.
Mm-hmm. It does kind of lose its way at the end. The black humor fades, and the black humor fades, and we get kind of a John Wick 20 minutes. I do love the fact that spoiler, I do love the fact that Mrs. Claus is the one that kills his ass. That's great. Mm-hmm. That's very cool. The visit at the end is good. And I also like when he visits it was a great choice when Santa visits the kid to scare him, right? And tell him, you don't get your shit together, I'm coming back. They left his eye where he'd been shot in the eye just in shadow and in black by lighting. And it was only for about 2 seconds when he stepped forward that you saw any kind of makeup, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that was a good choice. I thought that was a really good decision to do that. It looked really cool.
And when Santa shows up and says, "Did you write that Jay and Silent Bob are fucking clown shoes?" It's kind of like that ending, he's like going to take matters into his own hands.
How many people want to kick some ass?
Great if they played that song. Santa's in the View Askew universe.
This is again something that, much like Scrooged, where I would rather watch this than much like Violent Night. These are films that I would much rather watch than It's a Wonderful Life or Miracle on 34th Street or
we're providing a service.
Most of these others.
Even if we didn't necessarily care for the movies, we're still saying you should watch these instead of the regular Christmas fare. We're helping you out.
Get away from that. Yeah.
Every week we give ratings where, let's say, Cliff gave it a 5, I gave it a 1. But it's neither, right? Cliff's pointing out all the reasons the movie's good. I'm pointing out all the reasons I think the movie's bad. And then you get to decide. It's kind of like it's somewhere in the middle. That's how I look at our rating process.
And I'll say this, listeners, if you're listening, hey, we've got links where you can text us in the show notes and things like that. You can reach out to us and tell us what you think. Hit us up. We'd love to hear from you.
Mm-hmm. Any other thoughts on this one? I mean, I know we still got a little bit of time here.
No, I mean, we don't have to go in an hour. It's fine. I don't think so. I do have to ask you, do you think Walter Goggins has veneers, or are those his actual
they
teeth?
Gotta be. If they're not, I would
be
very
veneers.
surprised.
Those things, it's like Baba Booey.
I was gonna say Baba Booey. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Baba Booey.
First appearance of Baba Booey on the show.
Yeah, I really I enjoyed it. The first time I saw it, I really liked it. I still enjoy it. I'm gonna go 3.
You're gonna go 3 as well. I give it a 2, but I still
Okay.
like it. It's different,
Mhm.
a little bit long, and I liked Violent Night as well. I probably like this one a little bit more, but I don't
Mhm.
even remember what I gave Violent Night. I probably gave that a higher rating at the time. So,
I believe that you gave Violent Night like a 2, sir.
oh, I might have given it the same.
Yeah,
Let me
if
look
I'm
real
not
quick.
mistaken, I think you gave it a 2. I can check the sheet real quick.
Yeah, I did. So I gave it the same rating. So that's good. At least
Mhm.
I'm consistent with that stuff.
Well, okay. Well, then that settles the Christmas fair,
Yeah.
which
Okay.
which moves us into our last holiday selection, which is New Year's,
So
right?
it's gonna be New Year's, but we also like semi agreed if it could also be like a Christmas movie again if you can't find a
Sure.
New Year's or something. And so I
Sure,
have a
sure.
couple of different alternates. If you go, no, not that one. That's not New Year's-y or Christmassy enough. But I tried to
Okay.
go all over the place. So do you want to go first for what the New Year's would be?
New Year's movie. Now you go first.
Okay. I'm going slightly unconventional.
Okay.
But I still think it's still in there. I think it's probably more Christmas, but it does have a little bit to do with New Year's. I think it's like somewhere in that week between. Another Doug Liman movie, Go from 1999.
Go.
Is that appropriate? If you don't think so, I can always go
I
to my
I
next pick.
I don't know. Let's just ask this: is Go a New Year's?
That's why I picked some wild cards just in case.
Interesting. That's fantastic. That's very interesting. Hang on a second. I don't know, man. I mean, yeah, I guess let's call it a New Year's Eve movie.
Yeah, okay. So I don't have to go to any of my other potentials there, which might have been more Christmassy as that list went along. But maybe we'll save those for future
Yeah.
years.
I'm going to give you. I don't know if it's a. I don't know. I guess it might be obscure now. It's pretty old. I'm going to give you the Poseidon Adventure,
Oh, see, you're going
which happens on
same
New
thing
Year's.
too. Mm-hmm. The original, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I don't want to watch that remake shit. There has to be a big disaster.
And that should, for the time being anyway, after next week, take care of some of these themed episodes, and then we should be going back into our talking with guests and talking for a bit until we decide to do some more crazy theme stuff for you, and then it'll be 2025.
Yep, and we've got some interesting stuff coming up. I personally have some very interesting movies. Once we get past this New Year's stuff, I want to start throwing at you and see what you think. So should be a lot of fun this season. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. Well, then I guess until next week, sir.
Yes. Later. Support the show on Buzzsprout for only $3 a month. Give us a 5-star review on Spotify or the platform of your choice. And be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube page.